How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming out. Okay, I think I can hear myself. So, like I mentioned earlier, Turpentine's a nonprofit. Every contribution you make to us goes right back to the animal. That includes ticket sales. So, thank you for coming out. Also includes gift shop purchases, and we do also offer lodging options. They're a very cool opportunity. There's 5 African safari lodges tucked away back there. They're 18 and up because there's a hot tub at them, but there's family-friendly options. And the 2 glamping tents there, currently closed for the season as it is pretty cold, but there are RV camping spots there. The pretty popular options are the Siberian Bengal and Treehouse Suite. They all view a tiger yard from the treehouse's front porch. You can see a little bit of Freedom Field, a very cool opportunity. I can tell you more about Freedom Field later, but no. The treehouse is a little small, so keep that in mind. Here to the right, this is the home of another African serval named Jake. You'll see a picture of a serval on the sign there, and I always recommend going down the bear tunnel. Just across the way, you'll see a serval crouching in the night house. That looks to be Hunter. There's 2 servals that live on the bear tunnel there, Hunter and JJ. They're the most active of the servals, the most visible. I recommend if you want to see them, you should go down there. Jake, very elusive, only really out consistently at the 3 o'clock tour. He pops out throughout the day, but he's not usually visible for the tramp. He came from a facility with over 300 animals of 81 different species at it. When it shut down, he was the only exotic cat there. So he was brought here, and we're happy to have him. But like I said, he's pretty elusive, so we'll keep on moving up. See if Joey's around. Now Joey, she's a female orange tiger that's visible from those different suites, and she's got a pretty big habitat here. She's got this half of the habitat, and the whole other half is also accessible to her. It looks like she's laying in her night house right now. She's in the middle. See, she's that female orange tiger there. Joey's from the Colorado Rescue. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, Lakota and Aurora, that highlighter and white tiger, I've been bringing them up later. Well, Joey, she was rescued alongside them. She was sharing that habitat when they were when they first arrived here. And another cat also was in there with them, and we'll meet her in just a minute. Her name's Khaleesi. Now, it was 4 big cats in one habitat, and the reason that we had that is because those 4 big cats were in a pen full of tons of other animals used for cub petting, and those 4 were the ones that really relied on each other and stuck close to each other. So we made the choice to keep them together when we brought them here to not stress them out, and they lived pretty peacefully for a long time until Aurora, that white tiger, decided she didn't need the other girls around. So we moved Joey and Khaleesi over here, and then Khaleesi said she wanted her own room. So she was down there, and Joey wanted to help with this room of them all. And we'll get a little more into that cub petting industry we rescued them from further up. He was right there. There's another view of Hunter walking around in that night house. I'll tell you a little bit more about servals in just a second when we see one more habitat for them. For now, there's a lion laying behind this lawn coming up here on the right. Her name's Lila. She's from the Tiger King Rescue. And she was actually rescued sharing her habitat with a tiger named Opie. Now, that are foot cropped up there. Now, Lila and Opie, they didn't seem to disagree about anything. They seemed pretty indifferent towards each other, but we wanted to try and keep them together if they actually did rely on each other. But the thing is, a female lion and a male tiger together is a pretty risky thing. There's a huge size discrepancy there, or at least there should be. The problem was when they got here, Lila was very overweight and Opie was very underweight. So we wanted to get them as healthy as possible before we gave them a chance at sharing this grassy space. But we didn't want to stress them out, so it was really useful that we've got 2 night houses attached to almost every habitat here. That meant that we would have Lila in one night house, Opie in the other night house. They could see each other, but unfortunately it'd be Lila out one day, then Opie out the next day. Not ideal, we never want that to be a permanent thing, but it kept them safe and they were able to get back to the right weight ranges. You might notice there's no tiger in here with Lila. That's because Lila, she lost a lot of weight and ended up being one of the smaller female lions here. And Opie, well, he was a very skinny tiger, very tall skinny tiger. So proportionally, once he put back on his weight, he actually ended up being the biggest tiger in Turpentine Creek. So we made the choice to go ahead and split them, and they didn't seem to mind very much at all. Lila moved down here, Opie's still in that original habitat further down the tour, but we'll keep an eye out for him further up. But that's the beautiful Lila. Those double night houses go back to 2002. A man here in Quitman, Arkansas had 60 big cats at his property. They keep them well, and 4 lions escaped. Unfortunately, those 4 lions were killed, and he was ordered to get rid of the remaining 56. So he called, asked if we could take them. We said we didn't have room for 56 big cats, so we asked if he was legally allowed to euthanize them. We asked him not to do that. Built 2 night houses for each habitat, allowing us to rescue double the cats that we could have at the time. 21 were able to come back here, and we partnered up with a couple other facilities to take the remaining 35. Double night houses are useful for situations like Lila and other cats that need to alternate access, but also those dens are heated in the wintertime, nice and cool on the hot days, and there's doors on them too, so they work as storm shelters if any bad weather rolls through, not just for the cat's safety, but ours too, should something happen to this the habitat here. But yeah, we'll go ahead and keep on moving up. That's a little bit about Lila and the night houses. This next habitat home to 4 African servals, Giselle, Sammy, Enzo, and Lexi. Every cat in this habitat was rescued or surrendered from private ownership. Now we'll get into some really good news later on in the tour. Whenever, I feel like I'm missing something here. Okay, we'll get into some really good news later on in the tour, whenever we get further up there, talking about some big changes that have been made. Aha, there they are. There's a serval in the very back right corner, hiding behind that rock there. And by hiding, I mean they're just looking around behind that rock. You might see their ears sticking up. Servals are still passed around a lot in the exotic pet trade. A lot of people get a lot of misinformation and hear that these are kind of like house cats, just a little bit more of a challenge, but it's so much more than that. These are wild animals. Servals are African predators, also mesopredators, so they'll hunt things, but they get hunted by things. They attack and defend. They have a higher success rate hunting than lions do, and lions occasionally scavenge their food. Servals hunt 100% of their meals. They can jump 15 feet in the air, and they have the biggest ears in relation to their body of any feline, helping them hear phenomenally well. Also, the longest legs in relation to their body of any feline. So if you ever look at them, think they look weird, you wouldn't be the first to think that. Servals are actually called the cat spare parts because they look that way. But it's all just for their success in survival in that African environment. They can succeed out there, and they have no business being in a person's home. So if you ever see or hear anybody thinking about bringing a serval into their home, let them know the biggest thing that I found that helps deter people from this. Servals spray like house cats, except because they're wild, it smells 1,000 times worse. And servals spray 20 to 40 times an hour. So you don't need that in your home. Any home they're in smells terrible. Just about anybody that surrenders their animal to us says we had no idea how this was going to be or how it was going to smell, and it was just overwhelming. And we do thank anybody that surrenders these animals to us. It takes a lot of courage and effort. It's really difficult to kind of admit that, but we're really grateful they do these things. Just about every new arrival we've been getting recently has been these smaller cats, which is a very good thing in the sense that we used to be getting a lot of big cats, but there's some good change that's been happening recently. But the biggest way to help out with the small cat crisis, don't share or repost photos and videos of them in domestic environments online. Unfortunately, it pops up a lot, and this is where a lot of that miscommunication comes apart. Servals, bobcats, caracals, anything that doesn't qualify as a big cat can pop up in these environments, depending on what state a person lives in. But anyway, that's me hopping off my serval soapbox. From here on out, it is big cat. So we'll keep an eye out for Kismet. She lives in this nice habitat. She is a white tiger laying in that night house, watching us come by. She's from the Colorado Rescue, one of the considerably luckier cats from that rescue because both Kismet and her sister Tanya were born 2 days before we arrived. They were destined for the cub petting industry, but they were spared that fate because we got there when we did. Now, they were living together for quite a while, and just because they are tigers, they grew up and decided to be solitary, so Tanya still lives on the bear tunnel. Cinnamon moved out here not too long ago. Now, it's very important to know tigers are orange and black for a reason. Tigers and their prey are red-green colorblind. So red, orange, and green, it all looks great to them, and in their natural environment, tigers blend in really, really well. But any white that does pop up naturally on a tiger is there to either distort the shape or actually draw the eyes to it. You can see that with the eye or the spots on the back of their ears meant to act like eyes in the back of their head, kind of to protect them from other tigers creeping up behind. But you also find those on servals and bobcats too. Pretty useful for those meso predators. But anything with too much white stands out like a sore thumb. White tigers do pop up naturally. We'll get more into this later. But if they ever do pop up naturally, they can't survive very long because they can't hunt their prey, but more than likely another tiger will hunt them down before they can even reach that age. But we'll go ahead and keep on moving up. That's a little bit about the business. And we'll talk about some of the other issues that white tigers face. The cat that lives in this habitat is Khaleesi, another very peculiar looking tiger. She's something called a golden tabby tiger or strawberry tiger. There's only 30 to 35 cats documented around the world that actually look like her, and unfortunately she's very good at staying out of sight. If you do head down the bear tunnel and you say if she stays in that spot, feel free to look through Luna's habitat. It's way down there, and you might be able to see her at the very top of that hill there. She's from the Colorado Rescue, rescued alongside with Laura and Joey. She finally got her own room. Very important to know, like I said, there's only 30 to 35 cats that look like her in the world. There's another one that lives on this tour loop that we'll keep an eye out for. His name's Tigger, from a totally different rescue. And it's very important to know the golden tabby tiger is gorgeous. A beautiful looking cat, unfortunately very unethically produced. Due to a lot of inbreeding, there's a lot of deformations and birth defects and so forth, but then occasionally they get the white band gene that pops up, results in this unfortunately admittedly beautiful color variation. And she was heavily exploited before she got here and was most likely destined for the breeding industry, which is why we're grateful we got there when we did. She was never put through that. She gets to live the same as every other animal here now. Absolutely no pressure to come out and show off more than that hip bone right there sticking up. All right, let's go see these pilgrims. So you might see a lion laying with her feet up on the fence line here. This is Savannah. Savannah's rescued from a facility in Indiana. Girl, you look so done with us. Rescued from a facility in Indiana alongside 7 other cats. They're called the Indiana 8. It's 4 lions and 4 tigers pulled from this facility. It was long overdue being shut down. They had over 120 USDA violations against them, clear ties to the Tiger King facility, and also their animals had never actually touched grass before. So when they got here, they wouldn't come out of the night house. All they'd ever known was concrete. It took them time to get adjusted, but Savannah here was one of the quickest. In about 2 weeks' time, she was consistently up and down these hills, running around, having a very good time with all of her enrichment. Now, enrichment, that's anything that we can do to keep the animals' minds stimulated. It's not ideal for wild animals to be in captivity, so we do the best we can to keep them acting on their natural instincts. That's most obvious in these toys scattered around the hill that are knocked down the hill there. You can see they've been playing with those enrichment. But also we'll do stuff like pumpkins this time of year. You'll see those scattered around habitats. Once it gets a little colder, we'll start doing pine trees. Hot days, watermelons, and blood beetles too, which are just as gross as they sound. Spices, herbs, perfumes. Savannah loves sticks though. It's kind of awesome. Very low maintenance. Got 450 acres of sticks. So anyways, we'll go ahead and keep on moving up. That is Freedom Field down there to the left. Freedom Field was finished just earlier this year to accommodate cats from a reputable facility in Florida. They closed their doors and we found out to be conservation, so they asked to rehome their cats with us and help us fill that area. Mostly smaller cats, bobcats, parrots, servals down there, but there are a few tigers. Those are visible on live stream cameras on Explore.org. Otherwise, Freedom Field and Rescue Ridge are private areas, only accessible through private tours. Now here to the right, this is Mama Shakira. Absolutely beautiful. They call her a pure white tiger. We'll get more into this later. She is a leucistic tiger. She's not an albino tiger. She's still got some coloration on her, faint stripes all over her body, but also dark spots on her head. She was bred heavily for that unique look to her though at the Colorado facility. And unfortunately, she went through a lot in this time. She spent 2 years at this facility. Keep that in mind. Now, they took advantage of some female tiger biology. Now, when they were raising up their cubs, they'll do it for about 3 years. Cubs reach maturity. Mom will go into heat pretty soon after, depending on how young she is after those cubs leave, just so she can repeat the process. But she has a very natural reaction. If she's raising up her cubs and they were to get killed or pass away from something in that time that they were still growing up, Mom wouldn't have to wait the remaining time for cubs that don't exist anymore to reach maturity. That female tiger would go back into heat the second she realized her cubs had passed away. And these facilities take advantage of this. By having her give birth to her cubs, and then taking her cubs away from her immediately. Make sure things that they passed away, putting her back into eats again, they can breed her again and again and again. So actually, it should be 10 to 15 years the female tiger will be alive, and then that time will have about 4 litters. But she was there for 2 years and she had 4 litters. That's a lifetime of litters. Not much better to be said for cubs when they're taken from homes in these environments. They don't get to go back. They're passed around all day, every day for stuff like cut petting and pay-to-play franchises. In a lot of cases, they are either intentionally or unintentionally deprived of nutrients. Stuff like calcium, which will unfortunately lead to something called metabolic bone disease, where their bones get really brittle, prone to breakage, and that will happen when they're passed around all day, every day. Now, some good news. When we rescued Mama Shakira, we rescued all 4 for litters. We've already met a couple of them. The white tiger that's pretty catty in the discovery area, Aurora, is from her first litter. Kisman, that white tiger we saw laying in the night house for 2 days before we showed up. That's Mama Shakira's last litter, along with Tanya, her sister on the bear tunnel. You can meet one more litter, the triplets, Rockland, Peyton, and Blackfire, also living on the bear tunnel. They didn't get spared the cut petting industry like Tanya and Kisman. They arrived here with severe metabolic bone disease. They actually couldn't really walk when they got here, but our vet staff got to work, gave them something called the cure, is what they called it. Just a ton of calcium, got their bones a lot stronger, to the point where they could start to walk and run just like all the other cats here. And you might never have guessed they couldn't walk when they got here. But they're all 3 on our lifetime pain management plan because of what they went through. Now, further good news, since December of 2022, thanks to the Big Cat Public Safety Act being passed into federal law, it's now illegal across all 50 states to operate any cut petting facilities, pay-to-play franchises, or even fly a big cat. So, take a look at step in the right direction. We're never going to see stuff like this happening nearly as often anymore. It's much more regulated now, and this is all thanks to people like you. Coming out of Turpentine Creek, we were a spearhead in getting that federal law passed, and we know our work's not finished. If you can think of anything that doesn't qualify really as a big cat, it's probably a state-by-state regulation on who owns that animal and what they do with that animal. There are still plenty of animals out there being exploited. That's why we're part of the small cat crisis and the bear alliance as well. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask after the tour. It's just a little bit about Mama Shakira. Now, yeah, we'll go ahead and keep on moving up here to the left. And if you keep on looking left, since the trees are kind of dying out here now, you might get there's some fences way out there. It's just straight across the way. Now, that was built in 2013 to accommodate cats that were living in a white tiger breeding facility in Mount Vernon, Arkansas. This place would be shutting down, and they were done caring for the animals. So we needed to get them out of there as soon as we could, because 140 days to fundraise and build 20 habitats. A very flat area, useful for older cats. That's Ugawa, laying on the fence line right there. And walking towards us is her habitat mate, the white tiger, Glacier. This is our odd couple, a male tiger and a female lion sharing the same space. That's a pretty risky thing that we like to keep a very close eye on, because they're very different animals. Now, not only do they live in totally different environments, this leads to a whole bunch of different behavior. Tigers, they're solitary animals. They like cold, wet environments. But lions, they're social animals. They like hot, dry environments. Now, these two get along. They don't act like a tiger or a lion. I'm not even going to change my feel for this. Glacier's oddly social. When Ugawa's laying down, he will often walk towards her, find a spot to lay down, and spend some time with her. He likes to be around her, which, as you can see, he's kind of doing that right now. He's probably going to lap back around, keep on looking at some stuff down the hill there. He likes to keep an eye on the vet hospital down there. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But he likes to be around here, but that's where the differences start for Ugawa. The second she wakes up and realizes that he's nearby her, she's awfully antisocial. She gets up and finds a new spot to lay down by herself. But she's also pretty different from the other lions in that she doesn't really mind the rain too much. You'll occasionally see the lions out here during a rainstorm, but you'll always see Ugawa out here during a rainstorm. She does not care. Also, though, whenever it starts to snow, every other lion going in those heated dens, and don't know what she'll go into, but she always makes time to come out and slide down the hill on her belly and it's covered in snow. Now something to do with the other lions. And something that will never change about Ugawa, she loves to carol. She's antisocial but social in the sense that she loves to roar. You never get the chance to hear caroling going on here. Lion hybrid, roar, tigers like to imitate it occasionally. It's a very cool sound. Ugawa's a trumpeter. It started, if you heard that caroling going on earlier this morning, it wasn't Ugawa that started all that sound. If you heard that one line at first, that was her beautiful singing voice. But yeah, they're part of the Indiana 8. And they get along very well. That's the reason they get to stay together like this, but we always keep a very close eye on them just in case they decide to change their mind. So a little bit about Glacier and Ugawa. Now, down there to the left is the vet hospital with the green room. That was finished in 2016, actually completed 3 weeks before the Colorado rescue, that 115 animal rescue. It was really useful for that. It was fully equipped with an operating room, recovery room, and a quarantine area for any new arrivals. All right, now we're going to come up to an area with a couple habitats on either side of the tram. But first, if you look back to see around, maybe down the hill, that is the commissary. We've got the two animals there, hiking during 300,000 tons of to our facility. Off the south big side. That's one of the, oh, I don't know why I said that. That's either Chuck or Athena up there at the top of the hill. That orange tiger you see laying by the night house. That's a tiger to the left. Keep an eye out right there. That's a golden tabby tiger. So, it really does already now. Or we see the those two cats like this. Like I said, very unethical sourcing due to, unfortunately, inbreeding. But Tigger and Khaleesi both, they look very similar. Positively beautiful cats. Both immediately once they were born, people realized what kind of cat they were, and they were both put into the cut petting industry, exploited for a while. We were grateful to get Khaleesi out of that at a pretty young age. And Tigger was actually also rescued from the cut petting industry. Unfortunately, not by us first, though. He was rescued by a pseudo sanctuary in Oklahoma. And this sanctuary, when it was operating, it said it was a sanctuary. It said it was about the same as us, that they were there caring for their animals, except the issue was they didn't have the money to care for all the animals they had. So all the contributions people were making to the facility, they might have been going back to the animals, but the animals weren't living a very good life. So they ended up shutting down, and they were labeled pseudo-sanctuary. Tigger and a few other cats we rescued from there are actually in terrible condition, but Tigger, he's healed up really well. He's doing great now, and he likes to wander around, run up and down the fence with his neighbor across the way, or not across the way, right next door to him, Karma. We'll keep an eye out for her in a bit. But it's a very good word of warning about Tigger. Try to avoid fake sanctuaries. And it's a little easier to do that now with the Big Cat Public Safety Act being passed, but we do offer something called the True Sanctuary Checklist if you're going to anywhere. If that they're a sanctuary, going through this, checking off, making sure this is somewhere that's going to put your money to the right place. Now, here to the right, this is another good word of warning, a place to avoid. So, Chuck and Athena, they came from a facility in Branson, rescued with their sister Abigail. Yeah, they're both up there at the top of the hill. If you see the one that's on the far right side kind of glowing, look left, you'll see the other one laying with their head flat. So, they lived with their sister Abigail, another orange tiger, at this facility in Branson. And this facility let their keepers go in the habitats with the animals. And that's a big issue. Not only is it unsafe for the keepers, but it's unsafe for the animals because of situations like Chuck, Athena, and Abigail. A 16-year-old volunteer was leaving their habitat after feeding them, and on his way out, he tripped and fell. Tripping and falling in front of an ambush predator is something you want to avoid at all costs. It makes you look like a weak, injured prey item. And no matter how tamed or trained they might have thought those three tigers were, they all three jumped on that 16-year-old and attacked him. And the reason they're still here is because he barely survived this attack. He ended up paralyzed from the waist down. But he advocated for them, saying, don't hurt them, it wasn't their fault they attacked me, they were tigers acting like tigers. But if he had not been there to do that, they would have been put down because they had hurt somebody or killed somebody. And that's the really big risk here too. It's not only unsafe for the people, they could be the ones paying the ultimate price as well for just being an animal. So try to avoid places like this. Unfortunately, the Big Cat Public Safety Act didn't make it illegal for keepers to have contact with big cats. So you'll still see operating facilities that do shows with big cats. Keepers go in pools with tigers, run around with tigers, or big cats in general, dangerous animals. And it's not only unsafe for them, unsafe for the animals, ultimately an exploitation of them. So keep an eye out for that. Try to avoid those places, even though they might seem fun and cool. It's very, very scary for everybody involved. But yeah, here to the left, there's that beautiful girl, and you should be around. That's Karma. Karma's the only other female liger here. When I say female, I mean she's the only other liger here other than Fergie, the liger in the Discovery area. Karma's been here a long time though. She came from a drive-through safari park in Stratford, Missouri. They wanted to have big cats at their safari park, but they couldn't keep up with the regulations that came with that because their fences were only 6 feet tall. That's an issue for a 9-foot-long animal that can jump 12 feet in the air. So they decided to downsize, get rid of those big cats, and Karma and a few other cats were brought here. She's a very beautiful liger. She loves napping in the sunshine. Just the other day, she was spinning up her neighbor across the way here, this young guy who's coming up with his birthday. Oh, hi, beautiful. She just picked up her head. I should mention, because I've been seeing this and I'm thinking I should mention it, they cats sleep for 15 to 20 hours, even on the most beautiful days, so it's not strange to see them all lying down. Here to the right, this is Fred. I love Fred. So Fred, he's going to celebrate his 2nd birthday on Thanksgiving this year. It's so exciting. He's a young tiger. He's not fully at maturity yet. He's learning how to stalk, how to pounce, how to be a tiger. And whenever he is up and about, it's always fun. He walks around with that blue barrel on his head sometimes. You will never see these toys set up at the top of the hill because the keepers go in, they'll set him up. put them all perfect, pretty, different places. And Fred, once the second he has access, he'll come and methodically smack every single one down the hill, chase them down, and then he'll play with them down here all day. He's on our extra enrichment checklist because he just gets bored easily and he needs stuff to do, and we love keeping up with that. Fred's always sociable. He's pretty interested in what's going on around him, just because he is a very curious young tiger, so he's heavily featured on the social media. If you have Facebook, I always recommend checking us out there. That's our best platform, but we're on just about every platform. Fred, like I said, he's around there a lot, but you'll see every animal on that platform. Fred's story is also pretty interesting. Being born November 2022, he was born just a month before that federal law was passed, making it pretty difficult for the people that bred him to sell him, but they eventually got away with it in March of 2023. They sold him to a couple guys here in Arkansas, and I don't know if they told him it was federally illegal to have him, because they got Fred and immediately just put him in their backyard. They had neighbors, and those neighbors called Fish and Game 4 times in a panic. Also though, right after they got Fred, they just started spamming their Instagram accounts with pictures and videos of him advertising him, saying, we have a tiger cub. If you want to pay us money, you can have him in your photo shoot, music video, just come and pet him, whatever you want, just pay us. And that's very illegal. And luckily, it was put to a stop long before anything could really happen. And Fred was brought here at less than 6 months old, a small little tiger cub, unsure of what to do with all this space. But he got adjusted very quickly, and the funniest thing, in my opinion, is we weren't able to fundraise for him when he first got here because he was under the Witness Protection Program. It was a federal court case, what was going on, so we couldn't say anything, but that's wrapped up. Fred's here. I can tell you everything about him. I tell you I'm a big fan of him. I love whenever he's around. That's Donner to the left. White tiger laying in the night house from the Colorado Rescue. We'll move up a little bit after Poncho, and I'll really get into white tigers when we get up to Roman. But Donner, very good view of him. He's one of the healthier looking white tigers here too. Now here to the right, this is Poncho's habitat, often heard more than seen. He makes a very distinct mooing sound. He's also gotten into the habit of pranking the tramp, where he'll be up in the night house, totally out of sight sometimes, and then after we pass by, he'll come running down the hill and look at the tramp right at the fence line. So I'll keep an eye out for that and see if he decides to come out. He's also from the Colorado Rescue, and when I said he makes a very distinct mooing sound, I mean he sounds like a cow. So if you think you hear a cow on the Refuge, it's just Poncho. The sound tigers make for breeding. You might hear a roar of the white tiger in the discovery area kind of moaning, similar to that, except when he moans, he moves. Okay, here to the right, this is a Roman's habitat. White tiger, also from the Colorado Rescue, brings up a very important thing to know about white tigers. There's Poncho. I don't even know where he came from. I don't think he was in his night house. I think he was hiding behind the logs. Because he got down here really quick. Sneaky boy. Okay, so Roman doesn't do that. Roman has severely crossed eyes. So he can't really see well. It's not uncommon to not see him out of the night house. So, very important thing to know. White tigers, unfortunately, they do pop up naturally, like I said earlier, but they only pop up in the Bengal tiger. One specific subspecies of tiger. Out of all those tigers, it's just the Bengal. They're not Siberian tigers. Siberian tigers are just orange. They don't even turn white. They don't get that leucistic gene. They're not albino. They're not Siberian. They're not snow tigers. They're Bengal tigers with a leucistic gene. Very rare. 1 in 10,000 Bengal tigers might pop up one day. And we barely have 10,000 Bengal tigers in the world right now, but we've got hundreds of white tigers. And unfortunately can be tracked to one specific white tiger named Mohan. He was taken from the wild in 1951 in India, revered for his beauty, and then taken to a palace, of course, and bred back to his own offspring, unfortunately, to perpetuate that white tiger gene. It worked when they did this unethical breeding, and they started selling these litters all over the world saying you're breeding pairs. Very, very unethical. Unfortunately, resulting in a lot of issues like crossed eyes that we see with Roman. Rockman, one of the triplets, also has badly crossed eyes. Blackfire, another triplet, he has to take special medication because his pelvis is so misshapen he can't even go to the bathroom properly. Kenny, the white tiger remote, he went viral screaming the tiger with Down syndrome, but they told him Down syndrome. They don't have chromosomes for that. Kenny was just very unethically bred. He's a very sociable tiger, though, very interested in what was going on around him. Lived here from 2000 to 2008. If you have any questions about Kenny, I'm a big Kenny fan, so feel free to ask after the tour. That's Opie, there to the right. Biggest tiger at Turpentine Creek giving us a stare down. He's very visible from the bear tunnel, so after the tour, right about here in the next few habitats, you can look through those habitats up there, see into these pretty well, and you'll get an idea for Opie's size. He's just under 500 pounds, and that's just because he's a very tall guy. From the Tiger King Rescue, Opie was actually spared a lot of that fly strike that we see with the other Tiger King cats. Fly strike is where flies will eat away at skin and infect wounds. With those cats, we see that really displayed in their flat-tipped ears, but Opie, he's still got some pretty curved ears. So very good for him. he did still arrive, of course, with some weight issues. He has some scars on his body that have healed up a lot now. But yeah, he came from a pretty rough situation. I'll tell you a bit more about that after we talk about Miles here, because after Miles, it's just the Tiger King cats. Miles is in the next habitat. She's an orange female tiger. Another one very visible from the bear tunnel. Laying in her night house. I believe she's locked up right now because she got some medication earlier today, and they want to make sure she actually keeps down, just how that happens. You know, get rid of it. So she's up there right now, which I'm sure she's not too pleased about. She's a very social tiger, and when I say these tigers are social, I mean like Miles is the pioneer of being a social tiger. If something is going on, she is there. She's chuckling, she's moaning, she's mooing, she's trying to get their attention. And if somebody's over there, she's flipping on her back, rubbing around, rubbing her feet together and stuff like that. They call her flirty because she acts like she's in need a lot of the time, just because she's trying to get their attention. Big fan of Miles. She's also heavily featured on the social media. She's part of the Indiana 8, and you can get another view of her in the night house from the bear tunnel. All right, here to the right, that's Cairo. We have a coat here. Cairo's the only other second generation tiger here. He's a lilager. 3-foot lion, 1-foot tiger. He's also over 500 pounds. He's got a semblance of a mane. We call that his reverse mullet, longer in the front and shorter in the back. He also lost in very big spots. These two are also locked in because they got some medication too. We showed off your pumpkin. Amazing pumpkin, man. The keepers are just the best, right? So that right night house next to him, there is actually a female lion. Her name's Samira. She's also in there. They're both from the Tiger King Rescue. And you'll be able to watch him from the bear tunnel area, just past the yellow building there. That's Sylvan Bakira's night house. So keep an eye out there and you'll be able to start looking in there. Also, those gray shirt people, those are the interns. They do everything for this refuge. They work their booties off. So if you ever see them around, give them a chance, or get a chance to say thank you. They would appreciate it. They don't hear it enough. All right, so that's a little bit about Cairo. Samira's also in there. She's a very loud caroler. Keep an ear out for Samira, and by that I mean watch out, because she will make you jump if she decides to roar. She's very loud. All right, so Tiger King cat's there. Tiger King cat's here. Now, we got a call from the Department of Justice to help move 10 cats from that facility back here, and 10 actually turned into 13 because one of those female tigers, Priscilla, she arrived here pregnant. And so she's giving birth to 3 tigers 12 days after she got here. And you might think these 3 tigers have got to be the luckiest cats here. So they've got this habitat, fancy tunnel connecting them to this next habitat too. I think they're all 3 on top of each other in this corner behind the river thing here. You can see 2 of them right there, but where 2 are, there's usually another one. So, born here at Turpentine, they should be the luckiest cats because they've never seen a day of abuse, but unfortunately, they came from a facility that practiced very unethical breeding, and they were born with a very severe birth defect. The only known case of clubbed feet in tigers. So their back legs, instead of facing downward, their feet were facing inward. They couldn't put their legs beneath them, and they couldn't walk. And as newborn tigers, if they couldn't walk, that meant they weren't going to be able to survive. And that was really scary. That's not something we wanted to happen here. So our vet staff jumped into action, pulled them from the habitat twice a day for 4 months straight. They would split their legs and do physical therapy with them, and slowly get their feet facing the right direction, so they could start to support themselves and build up that muscle. We weren't sure what we were doing for sure. Our vet was just looking at anything she could find about clubbed feet and fixing these sorts of issues. And it slowly started to work. We started seeing improvements over time. They started getting really strong, and they had to be muzzled about a month into the process just because they grow fast. There was no protection from their claws, but about 4 months in, they started getting too strong for the vet staff. It started getting a little scary, but as they got too strong for us, they got strong enough to really support themselves and for the vet staff to feel comfortable letting them go around in the habitat and be independent and start to grow on their own. And it's been 3 years since that time, and they are happy, healthy tigers. They're not even on our lifetime pain management plan. They get to live a normal life, and you should see them at 3 o'clock tour. They are crazy. They'll go all over the place. That's right before they get fed, so they get pretty excited that time of day. And they'll be jumping, hopping, running, sprinting. It's always fun to see. Now, if you want to hear this story much more eloquently told, I always recommend checking out a free documentary on our website. It's 30 minutes long. It's called Uncharted. It's under the shop tab, but like I said, it's totally free to watch. If you want to see what these 3 went through, how they saved their lives. Their mom Priscilla, too, which there's so much to be said about their mom Priscilla. She's an amazing tiger. But learn about the vet staff and everything else that went into these 3. Make sure to check that out if you're curious. If you have any questions about them, feel free to ask. And there are clips of them on the TV under the pavilion where you see the tiger coming. Now, we'll go ahead and make our way up the hill there. And we'll lead you back to right where we picked you up, and we'll drop you off again. As we head up the hill here, I do have with me replicas of a tiger tooth and a tiger claw, so you can kind of see the size of these. And a little bit of fun fact about specifically the tiger tooth, they have nerve endings in their teeth. So a lot of times the way felines will kill their prey is they'll asphyxiate their prey by suffocating it, putting their teeth on that animal's neck. They have nerves in their teeth that feel when that animal's heartbeat stops. You don't want to mess with a tiger, especially not a tooth this big. We always say predators, not pets here. I always like to stress that for the smaller animals as well. You can check out some kind of cool videos that we're looking at our food right here and there. If you see the video of the man with the kids, let's go out there into the open retreat toys. You can possessed by the animals here. We'll remove them from their habitat, wherever they get a little too big for them. Susan over there, kind of like an eye house, got her feet up. You guys are coming out. If any questions, feel free to ask me or anybody wandering around with offers on their back, as well as cruise anywhere checklist. Feel free to grab one from me here, but we also offer a digital copy on our website. Whenever we enter
like area where the animal is going to have access back into. We always go back to the door and check it. Two people will check it, and then once two people have checked that door, the animal is then given access back to that area. Whenever we're working around the animals, we always make sure we know exactly where the cat is, especially if we go up because they are ambush predators. They will take advantage of any weakness, so we always do 2 steps back before we turn our back to them. If we are up to the fence, we never will put our hands through the fence itself, and we never will pull on or grab onto the fence. Everything we do regarding the animals is done from the outside, so when we need to give them access to the habitat, we always have a rebar open that door to the outside itself. Every single morning, animal care staff will go around to hand out medication to the animals, and that's just done with the chicken and then the other side. And then they will clean up the
Got a sign out there reading.
I
안녕. 안녕. Oh my goodness. 아, 이뻐. 아이고, 아이고.